Hello everyone, Rhonda here with you today. I'm here to do another deck review. This is an Oracle deck that I'm going to be doing a review on, and it's called Raven's Wand Oracle by Stephen Hutton. And he is actually the author of a trilogy of books, and I think there's actually another book beyond the trilogy as well. And it's Dark Raven Chronicles, it's called. So a lot of this stuff in this deck is based off of that, but you don't need to have read the books in order to use this deck. And I just got it in not too long ago. I've been playing with it for probably a little more than a month now, and I've really enjoyed it. So it's not a thick, it's not a big giant deck, but it's good and it's thick enough, and the cards are nice. I've been playing with them. It's got a magnetic opening and closing, so it just opens up like that, right? So nice and easy kind of thing. I like those metal openings or magnetic openings and closings. So these are the cards themselves, as you can see. They're not super thick, so they do shuffle quite well out of the box. They are quite large, as far as length goes, so make sure you have your hands well stretched for these kind of cards, or you can also do it the narrow side if you want instead, right? It's your cards if you get them. So I'm just doing the review so that you can see what this deck is really all about. I'm a professional tarot reader, have been for quite some time now, so I have a huge collection of Oracle and tarot cards, so I thought I'm going to build up my library of tarot card reviews and Oracle card reviews so that people can kind of get my opinion on them, and then see what the decks and the cards and the books and things like that are. So this one does come with a book. It's a straightforward, kind of easy to read book. I will read the first little part of what Stephen Hutton actually wrote about this deck. So I began writing and illustrating the Dark Raven Chronicles some years ago, starting with the novel Raven's Wand, named for a venerable wand as black as raven's feathers, hence the reference to the dark and charismatic bird. Set in 19th century Victorian Britain, the story centers on this mysterious wand and Valona, its keeper. Valona is a sage old witch who governs her idyllic coven, Wildwood, in the hills of northern England, hidden from their enemies, the Illuminata knighthood. The series enabled me to paint witchcraft in its best light, as wise yet humble and profound yet practical. It is now my privilege to share Valona's wisdom with you in the form of this Oracle deck. I believe that knowledge should be open and accessible, and so all are invited to find guidance here, whether they're familiar with the books or not. And he puts a website address for where you can get the books, because I don't think you can actually get them off of Amazon or anything. I did get the deck off of Amazon, so I'll put a link for the deck, as I usually do, in the description, but I'll put a link as well for his books in case you're interested in reading them. I definitely am. So one of the things that happens in this particular deck is there's what's called dragon twins, and they're very much based off of the Holly King and the Ivy King that happen on summer solstice and Yule in the pagan realm. So you'll see that there's two dragons, a brown one and a green one, and there's holly leaves and oak leaves. So I noticed this right away, and I didn't realize what he was basing this off of until I read the book, of course. And it says Hethra is the oak dragon, so she's this one, and she's the oak dragon of summer. Well, he is the oak dragon of summer, while his sister Hala is the holly dragon of winter. So much like the Oak King and the Holly King, they, switch seasons. Now with the kings, they battle it out, right? So on Yule, the Holly King and the Oak King battle, and the Oak King actually wins. So his time starts at Yule and goes around to summer solstice, because what the Oak King is doing is he's making the days longer, bringing back the sunshine, bringing the light, because whether you call it Yule or Christmas or whatever, Saturnilla, I think is another one that's celebrated right around that time. There's a lot of ancient festivals that were celebrated then because of the returning of the sun and the longer days. And then when you get to the summer solstice, that's when the days start to get shorter. So that's when the battle happens again between the Holly King and the Oak King. The Oak King has been in charge, and the Holly King wins at the summer solstice, and he makes the days shorter because he wants darkness. So that's how it's all set up. And it's kind of funny how he's, you know, tied that in, which is very cool. So as you work with the cards, remember this profound teaching. Your will has the power to create your reality. So know whenever you're reading cards or doing cards for yourself or whatever, nothing's written in stone. What it does is it's a doorway. I often call them really great conversation starters because they start conversations about things that maybe you need to look at, movements you need to, you know, push forward on, maybe emotions or attitudes you need to adopt to change your perspective, change the timeline, change how fast things are going to come in, that sort of thing, right? So nothing's written in stone. Now they do have a couple of really cool kind of readings, spreads in here. So I'm just going to go over a couple. So there's the Earth and Thunder one. It's kind of like, it's almost like a tree of life kind of thing happening. But what's cool is, you know, it's sort of like, look at what you want, like what kind of spiritual advancement or, you know, movement forward or enlightenment would you like? And what are your ambitions? Like, do you know, it doesn't always have to be spiritual, it can be material as well. So what are your ambitions? And the first 3 cards that are in this spread, you're supposed to go through the deck and see what 3 cards resonate with you most. So you're picking them on purpose. You're not picking them blindly. And then you pick the rest of them. So the next ones come 4, 5, 6, and then 7 is the thing that ties the whole thing together. And the roots, of course, tell you, indicating the preparations you must be mindful of as you journey skywards. So this is the stuff that kind of says what you need to do. And then this last card ties it all together. It's the trunk. This card tells you the overall most important value to remember on your path. And then we also have the Dark Raven spread. So this is kind of a neat one. This one, it says, where is it? The Dark Raven spread is for those trying times when we ask where to next. And how we ended up where we are. So it's a 3-card spread, but I like the take they've done on it. So the first card is the Raven's Eyes, and ravens and crows are known for their eyesight. They have very, very good eyesight. So this one kind of just tells us, how did we get where we are and where do we need to kind of go? And then we've got number 2 down here, which is where the Raven's Claw is. So this is the Raven's Claw position, and it tells us what we need to do. Like, what do we need to grab at? What do we need to do to get where we want to go? Or what is, we might not even know where we want to go. So this is a good one to kind of remind us where we're coming from, where we're heading, and what we need to do to reach the best place for us, which is number 3 up here on the Raven's wing. And that's, sort of that position is what's on the horizon, what's coming up, what do we need to look out for, what do we need to look out for, good and bad, you know, like watch this and follow the 4s or whatever it might be, right? And then there's the 4 seasons spread, which is with the dragons, and it's 1 2, 3, 4. Got to do it backwards here. So it starts with spring, moves into summer, goes into fall, and then winter. So spring is usually like, what is our next step? What do we need to do to get the ball rolling? New starts, what's coming up in our life. Summer is all about action. What do we need to do? What action should we take place? Where should we be, kind of thing. Fall is, what's our bounty? What's our harvest? What good luck is coming in? And then winter is our rest time, but also, you know, a pre-planning. What should we put in our mind for the next thing? That sort of thing. And it also reminds us about being patient, which is a thing that comes up for a lot of us as humans. Now, this is interesting too, because the deck itself has positive, or I guess upright and reversed, if you want to do that. Again, I always, when I'm teaching tarot, I tell students, if you want to do reversed, you can, but you already have 78 cards. You kind of got to get to know. So I often recommend get to know them upright, and then use your intuition, because tarot is like a language. So you do need some fundamental learning, and some of it is just straight up memorization, right? So you do need that, especially if you want to go off and do some, you know, off the beaten path kind of readings, like with playing cards. If you want to do playing cards, you straight up have to memorize the meanings of the suits of tarot, because that's what the playing cards are. They're the suits of tarot, and they're without the minor arcana except for the jokers that are there. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But I always say, just learn the upright for now, and you'll kind of intuitively start to know when it's sort of reversed. And reversed isn't always a direct opposite, but it's like, well, this card usually means you're gonna get some extra money or whatever, you know, like something like that. And you'll kind of know, it's like, I don't feel the extra money. I kind of think you got to be careful with your money, because you might be letting it slip, right? Don't know why I'm shuffling these. I'm getting ready for clients that are coming in, clearly, because I don't need to shuffle these to show you the cards. So I'm going to show you some of the cards. As you know, there's Release. And they're all based on the book, but again, you don't need to read the novels or the books in order to use these cards. Like, this to me just reminds me a little bit of Little Red Riding Hood, and she's gone into the woods and she's matured and she's learned, because that's the whole story of Little Red Riding Hood. But in this particular card, she's not only matured herself, but she's learned to control the pack, and now she's the leader. There's a lot to read in every card, I find. Raven's Wand. There's a lot of movement, you know, like she's not just a woman standing there. Probably Viola, if she's the keeper and guardian of that Black Raven's Wand, but there's so much movement that's happening around her as well, right? Mistakes teach us. That's a big one. I like that one. I love the drawing on it, the illustration. I love the message. They're pretty straightforward too. They kind of remind me of some of my mermaid cards, because sometimes when I use the mermaid deck, I often warn clients that the mermaids have a tendency to be very straightforward and blunt. They're not always kind in the way they deliver the messages, but they always deliver messages that you need to hear. So this deck has a little bit of that it's just, here it is, here's the gift kind of thing. And I've been using these cards, like I said, for a little over a month now, and I just love incorporating them into a reading, because it's sort of like it cuts through all the BS, like straight up, here's what you need to do, or here's what you need to look for. Like Family Matters came up in a reading a few days ago, and the first question I asked is, how much time are you spending with your family right now? And they weren't. And I'm like, well, maybe that needs to change, because that card just came up. Winter's Throne. Now, as you know, I don't show all the cards in a deck, because I want there to be a few surprises for you, should you want to add this to your collection. Night Watch, very protective kind of card. Spread your wings. And I love that it goes back and forth between dark and then really like light, and you know, it's not all light, it's not all dark kind of thing. There's a good mixture. It's like a very balanced. Now, notice this one, spread your wings. So this is sort of like take the risk, fly, right? And then we've got changing faces, very black and white. Again, still is asking for you to take that risk. You know, maybe you need to change your perspective. Maybe you are letting someone in not enough or too much or whatever it might be, right? Song of the Sea. That's a beautiful card. I actually had the privilege one time of, when I went whale watching, I saw a whale breach. It's one of, like, up close and personal. It's one of the most awe-inspiring moments you'll have on this planet. It's amazing. Now, I know some people have told me they've gone whale watching and they didn't see any whales. And, you know, like, because we can't control the whales. We can't tell them, hey, we're going to be here at 6 o'clock. You want to come for some drinks and cocktails? They just won't come. But sometimes we get that privilege of seeing nature at its best. And I was very, very lucky. We saw some dolphins. That's pretty common a lot of times because dolphins kind of get to know times and things. But then I also saw a mother whale and a baby whale really close to our boat. It was amazing. And then it wasn't the mother that breached. It was another whale. But yeah, that just took your breath away watching it breach. So a moment, you know, just take a moment, right? And again, such variety in the colors, right? Founding Day. Very cool. She's got her flag set. You know, a new wind has brought in new changes. She's looking forward. You know, this is the first day of forever kind of thing. She's got all her bird spirit guides or whatever with her. I mean, maybe I would know more if I read the books, but even without reading the books, you already pick up on that energy. Eternal Flame, very comforting. This card reminds me a lot of the Hermit card because she's got the lantern. She's got that sort of soft, she's wise, she's sage, you know, she's got that crone kind of wisdom about her. Stepping away. And again, I love the messages because there's some oracle cards where, you know, you get a message and it's like, okay, it's kind of, yeah, sure, you know, but this one, no, every message has been bang on, which I really, really love. Standing tall. A lot of times we need to be reminded of that. Stand your ground, stand tall, stand proud of who you are. Commemoration. I love all the nature in each of these cards too. So much fun. Sanctuary. Sanctuary. This came up for another client of mine not too long ago. And yeah, sanctuary, you just need to disconnect a little bit. You know, you need to take a step away from the world. So this is a 44 card deck, just to let you know. So this is Oak and Jers. This is such a power card for me because you can see like the wolf is, you know, sort of growling and yelping and doing his battle cry kind of thing is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. When I first saw this, I love to watch dog videos and you know, like every once in a while you'll see a husky one that says, "Let me sing you the song of my people." That was going through my head when I first sort of looked at this card. But this is Oak and Jers, and wolves are very powerful, a power animal, very strong. If you've ever seen a wolf in real life, they're way bigger than you think they're going to be. I had one that was in my backyard and I was standing at my door, my back door, looking at him, again in awe of, it was wintertime and he was making his way across my backyard. And the only thing I could think was, oh my God, if he wanted to get into this house, he would absolutely be able to break this door down. It's like, I didn't feel like the door was enough. He was a big boy. And so he stands tall like the oak. He's, you know, strong and endures, right? So it's hard, like the old adage for oaks is it takes them 100 years to grow, 100 years to live, and 100 years to die. So a lot of oaks, like they're 300, 400, 500 years old. In fact, I think there's an oak tree, if I'm not mistaken, that's near where they signed the Declaration of Independence that is still there. So it's like, oh, okay. Unity. Now this is an interesting card. When I first saw this card, I didn't quite get, what do you mean unity? Like, why is this unity, right? So I get it. Like there's the stag. He's holding on to the tree. Now, often in shamanic work, we often do a lot of work with trees. Like the way we get to other realms is through our tree. That's one of the first things you do is you kind of create your tree, right? So this is where you enter a door and you go into whatever other realm you want to. But also too, with trees themselves, just being in the aura of a tree, because trees have auras much like we do, or touching a tree. You don't actually have to hug the tree if you don't want to. You can have a handshake with the tree. And I talk about that in a lot of my teachings that I do of how to shake hands with a tree. So I have a path that I often walk in the mornings, and you know, I'm in the city and the trees are kind of on the other side of a fence. So their branches are hanging over. So it'd be hard to hug them anyways. And it would be kind of weird with people walking by and me just going up and hugging a tree. I wouldn't put it past myself. I would do it. But again, there's that fence, right? So as you're walking along any tree, walking by any tree, ask and say, do you want a handshake? Or can I give you a handshake? May I have a handshake? And the way they'll respond is they'll let their leaves kind of blow a little bit, right? The wind always picks up a little bit, just enough to rustle their leaves so that I can give them a handshake. So I do that instead, because then I just touch their leaf. I'm not like tearing their leaf off or anything, because you don't do that when you shake hands. And it's much more sanitary than human hands. And, you know, because of COVID, we've all stopped handshaking and whatnot. So you just touch the leaf and you get some of the energy, and they're giving you some of that energy, and there's an energy exchange. But the other cool thing I like about this is that he's all green. He's green as nature. Unity. He's blended in. He's become part of that connection with nature. The call of longing. Haven't seen this too often. That's a beautiful card. I like that. Time's arrow. Now, I've gone on a little bit in this video, so I'm sorry that it's not as short as it could be. Dreaming days. But thank you for being here through the whole thing. It really helps. And if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. I would so enjoy it. Ebb and flow. Isn't that a good reminder? Just to go with it. Go with it. Trust. Trust and surrender. A rare bloom. Yes, indeed. A lot of my clients are a rare bloom. Walk with wings. And then there's some honeybees there. So if you would like to support me, you can do that by straight out buying a reading from me. But you can also do it by giving me a thumbs up on this video, becoming a subscriber. Wild at heart. Beautiful. Wild at heart. And ringing the little fairy bell, as I call it. Oh, this is such a cute card. Taking to heart. I love that one. It's so pretty and so happy. And yeah, becoming a subscriber. So I appreciate that. And leaving something in the comments. One thing I'd like to know is if there's a particular deck, tarot or oracle, that you would like to see up close and personal and see what my review is all about. Farewell. I love the colors of this card, but it is kind of a sad card because they're saying goodbye. Strength renewed. And this will be the last card because then the rest are surprises. Oh, this is a great one. Daisy and the Dandelion. And it's like a little puppy, but it's also a dandelion. And she's Daisy, and they're playing, and wishes are flying everywhere. So that is the Ravens or Wand Oracle. Like I said, I'll leave a connection below. That's another way you can support me. If you click the link to buy the deck, that helps to support me. If you click the link and don't buy the deck and buy something else, that also supports me. So I appreciate any time that you do that. It helps me out. If you're going to buy something off of Amazon anyways, you might as well help us, a small business person like myself. So I'm so glad you could be here today. I'm truly honored that you spent the time to go through this review with me. I hope it helped. And if there's any other decks that you want to take a look at, please leave the deck's name in the comments below, and I will take a look and see if I already have it in my collection or if I need to bring it in, because I'm never too upset to have to bring a new deck in. All right, have a great day. Take care. Bye.